the UUCC worship team, and my pronouns are she, her. Challenged by our liberating faith, we discover deeper spiritual meaning, nurture loving community, cultivate courageous connections, and partner in the work of justice. Welcome to all of you, on the live stream and in person. We're pleased to have guests with us in this room and participating virtually. Following the service, you are invited to join us in Freeman Hall, across from the sanctuary, for coffee and conversation. If you are new and want to learn more about this congregation, I encourage you to reach out to our Director of Member Relations, Kelly Green. Her email is on the screen. We have large print orders of service, personal hearing assistance devices, and an elevator available. There's also a hearing loop in our alternate worship space, the Bernstein Room. If you or your family feel a need to move or be more active, you may be more comfortable watching and listening to the service in this alternate space. We have coloring pages and fidgets for all ages in the vestibule if that is useful to you or your children. Nursery care is available for children under 6. We have a few announcements. Today, following the service, we will be participating in Operation Sandwich. This is a wonderful opportunity to make and provide sandwiches for the men's shelter in Charlotte through our partners Roof Above. We'll be making the sandwiches together right after the service across the hall during coffee hour. Also today, the Open Door School will be having their annual bake sale fundraiser in Freeman Hall during coffee hour. All proceeds will go to the Sue Riley Scholarship Fund, providing ODS tuition to families in need. On Thursday, November 27th at 2 p.m., enjoy Thanksgiving with your UUCC family. Bring yourself, family members, friends, and food to share to Freeman Hall. All ages are welcome. Register and let us know what you'll bring. If you have questions, contact Althea Clark. More information about these opportunities can be found in your order of service, in our weekly e-newsletter Currents, or on our website. Again, a warm welcome to each of you. Whether you are here in person or joining via live stream, whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, origins, identities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. It is good to be together.
All age choir, come on down.
Well, that was all the church I needed. You're welcome to go now. Good morning. And welcome. Welcome to this time made sacred by each one of us. Welcome to this place that extends beyond the pews, beyond the wall, beyond the building. This place where we practice together what it means to live our values into this world, starting right here in this community. And I don't only mean the UUCC. I mean the city of Charlotte. This city, our city, has bore witness over the last week to the terrorizing actions of the Border Patrol and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, but we haven't just watched. So many in this city, and perhaps even here in this congregation, have, in many different ways, risen to the call of justice and liberation and have demanded with one loud, ringing voice that they are not welcome here. Not in our streets, not in our homes, not in our neighborhoods, not in our schools, not in our faith communities, not in our city, and not in our state. Hate has no home here, and I think they got the message that if you're going to come into our city, try to abduct our neighbors, invade our sacred spaces, monitor our schools, occupy our streets, that Charlotte fights back. Amen? Don't mess with the South. They found out about us. But there is still work to be done. And so here we are, equipping ourselves to do it. I'm Reverend Amanda, and what a joy and a privilege it is to gather together once more. Even in the midst of it all, we have our ongoing work. We are still under construction. And when we gather in this place, we are building, beloved, a community. We are equipping ourselves. So this morning, we continue the exploration of our monthly theme, Builders. This time we're going to do it by exploring this big, amorphous concept of spirituality, something us UUs aren't always comfortable with. But we engage with such concepts because we are at a juncture in our world. If we, as progressive people of faith, don't start reclaiming and redefining this language, Christian nationalists will do it for us. And they will continue to be the sole voice of modern religion. And the world needs us to take our faith seriously. So we light our chalice this morning with the presence not only of open minds, but of open hearts. We light our chalice for the beauty of expansiveness and the spirit of discovery and emerging. So come, let us worship together. And in that spirit, I invite you to rise in body or spirit to turn and greet your neighbor.
Good morning. I'm Paula Gribble, Director of Lifespan Religious Education, and my pronouns are she, her. I want you to help me imagine this morning that I am in a room. I mean, we're in a room, but just I'm in a room. And the only other thing in the room is a door. And so I figure I have three choices. I can sit and do nothing. I could hope someone else comes through the door and joins me. Or I could open the door and go through. What do you think I should do? Open the door. Oh. Now I'm in a new room. All right, so this room is a little bit different. There's the door behind me where I came from. There's a door in front of me, and there's a bookshelf full of books. And so I have to figure out what my choices are now. Again, I could do nothing, which sometimes is a good thing to do. I could also look back to where I came from, consider going backward, or I'm going to read some of these books. So let's say I spend time reading some of these books, and I notice there's a code in the book that unlocks the door. So now, because I took the time to learn something, I have a way to move through the next threshold. Think I should go through this door too? Yeah, okay, so I do the lock. It's a combination, it's got lots of numbers to it. Let myself out, and then I go into the next room. Wow. All right, I'm in a new room again. This room's kind of blank, except for like things on the walls, beautiful art, sayings in a picture, big tapestry. Guess what I don't see? I don't see a door. So I start looking at the art. Maybe I'm just supposed to spend time in beauty. That's okay. But then I start to worry. I don't want to go backwards. I want to keep going forward. I want to be open to whatever comes next, but I don't know what to do. So I start looking around, and behind the tapestry, I find the door. So I took time to process. I let stuff in, and then I figured out how to go through the next threshold. So I opened that door, and I'm in a new room. In this room, there are lots of people. I like having people around. I can talk to the people. I can make friends with them. I can learn from them. I can teach them what I learned when I was coming through the other doors. It's amazing what you can do when you're working together. Now, this is an interesting room because now there are two doors. Not just the one behind me, but two going forward. Now what can I do? What do I do? Talk to the people. Let's talk to the people. See if we're like-minded. See if they've been through the door before. See if they've known something that I didn't know. That's a choice. Also, I could go in the left door. I could go in the right door. Oh. Or I could open both of them. I could ask one person to go in one door. I could go in the other. We could figure out what's on the other side of the door. That's amazing. One more really cool thing has happened now that I'm in this room. If I look back to where I came from, the doors have turned into glass panels. So not only can I move forward, but now I can see where I came from. You see, what's interesting in life is we're all in rooms with doors. We all have thresholds to cross, places where we learn something and then move on, places where we'd rather go back, places where we meet people and make friends and learn from them. On life's journey and your spiritual journey, there is always another door. It just matters which one and when you will go through it. So right now, our children and youth will go to their classes. We'll gather in Freeman Hall and go from there. Let us sing them out.
Something I noticed when I first started attending services here over 15 years ago is that those wooden chairs with the green scratchy fabric, connected by book holders there in the first few rows and over in the choir section, are the exact same chairs that we had in the huge, newly built Catholic church my family attended when I was in elementary school. I helped move them around countless times as needed and felt their itchiness on the back of my legs Sunday after Sunday. It's interesting what sticks in one's mind when you're bored or would rather be somewhere else. We moved every few years, but going to weekly mass and melding into a church community was a constant during my transitory military family upbringing. The churches we attended were varied, from a stark white Southern Army Post chapel with warrior saints depicted in stained glass windows, to outdoor Saturday evening services along the sands of Waikiki Beach, to a modern brick, nearly windowless interfaith center where services were held in our Maryland planned community. My favorite during holidays or summer visits was to accompany my grandparents and many aunts and uncles in their old coal mining town to the small wooden church, paint curling off the outside, and weathered Virgin Mary statue in a grotto near the entrance. I can still hear the familiar hymns in my grandma's voice while I held her unbelievably soft, vein-lined hand, proud and happy just to be next to her. No matter the setting, church for me was a comforting routine of readings, music, communion, rote prayers, rites of passage, and a general sense that God had everything under control. I took my altar server role alongside my older brother very seriously and dutifully set a good example for my 4 younger siblings. My family would pray together before meals and at bedtime, instilling in us a sense of gratitude for our blessings and a means to humbly ask for desired outcomes in our own lives. We read about the lives of saints and asked for their intercession on our behalf when we had specific struggles. I was particularly drawn to the mystical rebel women with their intense faith and fever dream visions who performed miracles in centuries past. As I got older, though, I began to question what we were taught. I noticed the purposeful omission of women from church leadership. I became more aware of other subtle and not so subtle limitations put on women, of prescribed roles in the family, of control over bodily autonomy, of outright condemnation of LGBTQ folks. The faith of my childhood, of my entire family, was one I no longer found peace in, and I began to pull away. My personal values strongly conflicted with those deeply rooted teachings. With that came massive feelings of shame and guilt, but I sought solace in time alone in nature, in settings of profound beauty, in the rhythms of the changing seasons. I noticed sparks of the divine in works of art and poetry and music, things so often born in quiet, solitary moments out of the Creator's need for expression, not realizing their work may also profoundly touch another's soul in an entirely different time and place. Years passed, and when my wife and I had our children, we wanted to find a spiritual community in which we felt welcome, a community where all families are valued, a place that honors the voices and experiences of all people. Unitarian Universalism best provided that home. I was drawn to a faith that calls us to act when we see injustice, where love for our neighbors means showing up and speaking out even when it's uncomfortable or scary. For me, this is a faith where mystery and wondering live alongside logic and facts, with love at the center. Here, I've found a gentler place for my soul to land, a place of prayer and contemplation, and opportunities for action to initiate change. In many ways, being a part of the UUCC is a return, a homecoming to spiritual peace, comfort in the familiar faces and music, a space to be together, to celebrate, to rest, to heal, to let down my guard and recharge when so much of the world feels like a bombardment. My understanding of what it means to be a saint has expanded over the years too, as I've witnessed holy acts of everyday human compassion, many during this very heavy week in our city. And I'm pretty certain there are a few right here among us on these scratchy green seats. And I'm so grateful to be here with all of you.
Some people think that it happens atop a beautiful mountain. Some think that it happens while in some complex yoga pose or in deep meditation. Perhaps it happens at a silent retreat or in an ashram somewhere. But for me, it happened while driving down Interstate 40. My awakening. As many of you know, I grew up Southern Baptist, as in washed in the blood of the Lamb, Southern Baptist. If you know, you know. I was a church enthusiast. I've preached before about loving going to church and being heavily involved. No one made me be there. I wanted to be. I've also preached about being a wild child. Both were true. Both are still true. Suffice to say that although I was invested in it, I was never truly sold on it. Now see, this is where belief and reality clash right up against one another, because I believed in it all, I truly did, but my reality told a whole other story. In my reality, I needed to be free. I needed the space to explore and learn and have fun. I needed to be a part of the world in which I lived and was drawn to, and not even those beliefs could keep me away from it. I needed the secular music. I loved MTV. Me and my friends, we got into all kinds of things because we wanted to experience life deeply. And it wasn't enough just to be told what things were. I needed to know for myself. And in that regard, my beliefs couldn't touch my reality. And there was always this tension between the two, always an inner conflict between who I believed I needed to be and who I actually was. And honestly, conflict is too gentle a word. That space between who I believed I needed to be and who I was terrifying because of my beliefs. Because everything that I was in contradiction to those beliefs given to me. But those same beliefs were the foundation of my entire life, from birth up into adulthood. But all the things started shifting around the end of high school. I realized there was nothing really left for me in the church that I was raised in, because if you weren't preparing yourself for marriage and family once you reached adulthood, a lot of churches have nothing for you. And this is not just evangelical Christian churches either. Young adults are often forgotten and overlooked in faith communities of all sorts. And honestly, looking back, it was the community aspect of it all that kept me in church all those years. I never had to be there. So once the community aspect was gone, so was I. And I'd love to say that once I graduated from that stage of my life, that I left behind all those beliefs as well. But I didn't. They stayed with me, lurking in the depths, the threat of hell, the fear of apocalypse and rapture. Again, if you know, you know. The mandates on morality and the proper order of things, it all followed me. It was ingrained in me. But as I learned more about the world and history, as I moved through my education and met all kinds of different people and expanded my horizons, a lot of those beliefs did begin to unravel and fade into the background. In fact, I began to intentionally turn away from that tradition, criticizing it, mad at it even, and rightfully so. I began to question and push at those narratives and openly rebel against them, again, rightfully so. And I began to close all those doors. The door to harmful theology, the door to a God that would punish me in hellfire for all eternity, the door to traditional values that never fit me. But there was one door that I could never really shut. And even if I did, it would creak right back open, beckoning my spirit. But I could never find out what was behind that door. Once I finished college, I realized that this door was never really going to close, and I was still no closer to knowing what was beyond it. So shortly after moving back to my hometown to begin working on my first career as a social worker, I found myself driving down the interstate on a regular day contemplating, as I often did, this door that wouldn't close. And with complete clarity and sort of out of nowhere, I decided that it was time to let that door open. And while standing at the threshold peering in, I understood three things. I didn't need to figure it all out at once. That it was my choice and my choice alone to embark on that journey, and that it was time. And with complete certainty, I moved into the uncertainty, embraced the mystery, and walked through the door. And what I found was not a singular room with all the answers and the labels and all the solutions. Instead, I crossed the threshold into an expanded world of doors upon doors. When I talk about spirituality, especially in the context of this sermon, it is this expanded world that I'm referring to. Not a precise definition that everyone can agree on, not a particular prescribed spiritual path, but a journey through the limitless world. But before we can even dig into the what of the spiritual question, we need to talk about the why. In other words, what's the point of all of this? Haven't we evolved past this? Haven't we found a way to answer all of our questions? Why do we even need a common spiritual understanding, especially in our pluralistic context, when there are people gathered here from all types of backgrounds and worldviews? Gathered among us this morning are atheists, humanists, people who have shed the religions of their past, people actively deconstructing the beliefs they were given. There are some who currently practice pieces or the entirety of a specific religious path. We have folks belonging to the growing number of nuns, that's N-O-N-E-S, and those who are fine with only being Unitarian Universalists. We also have folks here who are none of that, and somehow folks who are drawn to all of that. And I'm sure I left somebody out, and I'm sure I'll hear about it in the receiving line after the service. We are a mixed bag. And spirituality itself, it's something deeply personal. It comes in many shapes and flavors. One person's spirituality could come in the form of a well-defined spiritual practice, while another's may be simply observing nature. Whereas one person might not consider attending a concert a spiritual activity, one could feel that the same thing is the height of spiritual experience. For some, it may be something that's undefinable, and for others, including yours truly, we've made it our task to define it over and over again. And some just plain old don't care either way, as long as you leave them out of it. Now, please know that the task here this morning is not to get anyone to be more spiritual or to promote a certain path. Heck, it's not even to proclaim spirituality as some heightened form of being or understanding. So what's the point? For this, we turn to the transcendentalists. Now, in the mid to early 1800s, there was something stirring within the Unitarians. Sermons and teachings and the general work of the church had become dry and distant. And in alignment with our tradition, so much of the focus had become about critiquing traditional religion with a high emphasis on rationality and intellectualism. There was a primacy of the mind over everything else, leaving the body and the spirit in the neglected shadows. We hadn't really fleshed out our shared faith at that time, so we weren't all that clear on who we were, but we knew who we weren't, and we worked really hard to prove it. We weren't Trinitarian, meaning we didn't believe in a holy trinity. We weren't doctrinal, which meant we had no sacred text. We weren't supernatural. We weren't fundamentalists. We weren't biblical literalists. And it seems that we were trying so hard to convince ourselves of who we weren't, that we weren't leaving any space for who we wanted to become, or even who we already were at that time. We weren't leaving any space for the mystery to move and to work. Here enters the transcendentalists. They rose from within this context of Unitarianism, but with a central question: what makes us come alive? If it's not any of that stuff, then what is it? What animates our being? They were informed and moved by the ideas and the principles of the Enlightenment, values of art and culture, beauty and history. They felt that these had roles, not only within society, but within the human condition, and that these virtues came from something deeply rooted within each of us. Some of them called it a divine spark. They also found these values in the natural world and made it their business to seek out the beauty and wisdom found within nature. Their experience of spirituality was their search for truth in such things. And that spirituality brought purpose and meaning back into their faith and into their lives. They experienced truth as an unfolding, something waiting to be revealed. And the practice was simply to pay attention. After all, that's what all spiritual practice is really about. For the transcendentalists, their sense of spirituality, it didn't merely float around in the sky or sit on the pages of a book. It propelled their actions to create a better world. These beliefs of truth, beauty, freedom, they became foundations for social movements that promoted equity, equality, and protections of rights. Some of the most famous abolitionists were influenced by or came from the transcendentalists. Same for women's equality movements, workers' protections, and education reform. They were the activists of their time, informing politics and economics. They used their privilege, which they definitely had, and they influenced their peers to act towards the same change. And they did it all with the purpose and the foundation of that divine spark that they believed dwelled in every soul. And they used it as a tool. They used it as a tool to build a world that embodied those values. They weren't perfect, and some of them were downright problematic. And they were willing to open the door to the mystery and expand beyond the constraints of what they weren't. And it propelled them to change the shape of their world and this country. It mattered. And those are our roots. We come directly from the transcendentalists. We are a tradition rooted in the search for truth and meaning. And that means sometimes we gotta open the door without knowing what the outcome will be. Sometimes we gotta expand the boundaries of what we have named things and what we have decided things are or that they aren't. Sometimes we have to think beyond and rename and reimagine and breathe life back into our shared faith. Spirituality for me as a humanist means that I hold reverence for the complexity of the spirit that weaves throughout the human experience and nature. That which compels us to creativity, whatever it is that lies under the need to create music and art, to seek justice, to organize ourselves around common purpose. Also for the harsher aspects of humanity, war and violence, the need to destroy and conquer, what's underneath that? My spirituality comes from a place of curiosity and wonder and reverence and questioning, and also paying attention to that which is bigger than all of us, but somehow made by each of us. Now, for an atheist, spirituality may be centered around ethical purpose and reasoning. For someone deconstructing, spirituality may enter through the door of healing and regrounding. For someone who doesn't identify with any particular path, it may be a door to wonder or possibility. For any of us, it may be all of the above. More doors, more openings. And perhaps the most expansive idea of spirituality that I can offer is this. It's the process of listening to life. When I was young, my life was telling a different story than the one I was being told. My life was moving me toward music and complex people. It was moving toward risk and experimenting with boundaries. Where my beliefs were telling me no, my life was telling me yes. And the moment I began to listen to my life, I entered a renaissance of my own design. Once I opened that door, no longer was I my own enemy. I instead was my curator, and my spirit was my tour guide. I didn't need to be told what to believe, but to follow my inner teacher, to pay attention to the wisdom around me that came in so many forms. I started attending the UU church in my town, and I joined in community with other searchers. And in retrospect, I realize now that that door that would never close, that always creaked back open, that wasn't God or spirituality or any of it. That door was community. Gathering with people for support and guidance and clarity, working together on common goals rooted in purpose, colliding around differences and working through them, pivoting when we needed or rooting down when things got stormy. And I realized that letting go of a faith that never worked for me didn't mean that I had to let go of faith community. I just needed to redefine it for myself first, and then with others. I listened to my own life, and I kept opening door after door. And it was never about the destination. It was always about the path. On that interstate that day, I made an agreement with myself that I didn't have to figure everything out in that moment. I didn't need a new theology or a new religion. I didn't need to define or convert or cast anything away. I just needed to turn the knob. Spiritual depth provides meaning and context for what we do here. And I'll go out on a limb to say that each of us is here to reach for some sort of depth as well. Because why else would we gather in a faith community? Why would we choose to work together towards justice and building beloved community in this place when we could be doing it anywhere else? Something has gathered us here. And the task isn't to nail it down or name it or trap it in a box, but to shape it for one another, to support each other on our own journeys, on our own expansion, on our own becoming, to pay attention to and listen to our lives, and then to listen to each other's callings as well. We are a mixed bag, and honestly, I wouldn't want it any other way. I'm a UU for a reason. There's something incredibly unique and valuable about our willingness to come together around difference, to build something larger than ourselves, but made by each one of us. And there is a renaissance. There's a renaissance here, and it's winding its way through us right now. We are coming to life. We are breathing life into each other, and I see it every time that we gather. We are serving the community. We're tending to each other. We're solving problems and facing challenges, and we're doing it together. We're actively making more space for each other in our complexity. We're getting flexible. We're even experimenting in some ways. We're giving each other permission to move through the doors of our lives, and we're committing to meet each other on the journey. And we can make room for all the parts of us that show up, the parts that need to get work done, that know how to run a meeting or be efficient in a project, the parts that need spiritual nourishment, the creative parts, the fussy parts, the parts that need stability, and the parts that want to change. The more doors we open, the more ourselves we get to become. So my task isn't to sell you on spirituality. It's to point out that it's already here. It's already working among us, taking different shapes, living through us in ways beyond our imagining and in ways we designed. Growing up in church, at the end of every service, we had what was called the invitation. This was a time when one would make a public profession of faith, or when you would come back before the church and get saved or repent or come to the altar to pray over something in your life. I hated this part of the service. It was always so anxious and awkward, and there was this underlying threat. It felt like all the doors would close, and there was only one to walk through. And if you didn't, well, there would be major, eternal consequences. So instead, for this invitation, I invite you to your own path, to expand beyond any one single thing or the labels that you have given yourself or what has been given to you. The invitation to do your own inner work, to create your own path, to move through, past, or even beyond each and every door if you choose, to seek and to search and create and release and return again, or even to just keep on moving forward, or to root exactly where you are, or to open another door altogether. Beloveds, the threshold awaits, one that only you can cross. And as you do in your own time and in your own way, may you feel the quiet beating truth that you do not travel this alone. Your life will always meet you there, and so will we. So go forth and open those doors. And when you feel lost or alone, just know that we'll be here, keeping the lights on. May it be so. Blessed be. Our after the sermon hymn, I know this rose will open.
Generosity is at the center of our mission and vision, and it is through generosity that we live our values out loud. What we give allows us to sustain the work of this congregation within and beyond these four walls. When we gather each week, let it remind us of the spirit of generosity and gratitude, recognizing the blessing that it is to carry the work forward together. Our November Share the Plate is with Roof Above, an interfaith nonprofit serving 1,200 people per day through a spectrum of services ranging from street outreach, day services, emergency shelter, and permanent supportive housing. Roof Above's mission is to unite communities to end homelessness, one life at a time. There are many ways to give to our shared offering. You can text to give at 73256, or you can give directly online. You can also scan the QR code or give as the basket comes your way. With gratitude for all the ways that we give, for those who pledge to make this ongoing work possible, for those who give in the moments when it counts the most, and for those who give from their hearts, we build this community together. While the offering is collected, you are invited to come forward and light a candle, honoring a milestone, concern, or celebration. Ushers, you may come forward to receive the offering.
As always, gathering here together is a time for us to bring the fullness of who we are. We don't demand that we leave it all at the door, but we expand to make space for it all. This morning, we celebrate with Emma Bogdan on her engagement to Joseph Dominguez. Happiest of blessings to them. We also lift up Carol Gay, who recently underwent surgery for an intestinal blockage. She's at home and she's recovering and appreciates all of our thoughts and care. May we continue to hold Barbara Busey in our hearts as she awaits more information on her recent leukemia diagnosis. We are in contact with her and will be receiving updates as they come. In the meantime, we hold her with loving care. On November 20th, communities near and far observed the Transgender Day of Remembrance and Resilience, a time for honoring, celebrating, and commemorating our transgender, gender non-conforming, and non-binary siblings across the globe. This day comes at a heartbreaking time in our country with attacks on so many communities happening daily. Let us hold the complexity and the multiplicity of identity, healthcare, workers' protections, racial justice, reproductive justice, LGBTQIA rights, immigrant rights. They are all woven together, and none of us exists in a silo. So today we light 3 candles to ritualize our love and hope as we move forward in these times. The first candle that we light is to commemorate the siblings who have come before us, those in the trans and non-binary community who have toiled and labored for a better world, those who lived their lives fiercely or quietly or unapologetically or even in the closet. Debates over the personhood and humanity of folks within this community have become mainstream and commonplace, but this rhetoric doesn't just remain as words. It can turn into violence. Targeted acts of violence towards the trans and non-binary community have grown in intensity and sometimes can result in a loss of life. When unsupported, trans and non-binary youth are at a higher risk of homelessness and even suicide, and trans women of color face higher risks of violent crimes. For those who have come before, we remember their lives, and today we commit to fiercely and passionately working toward a more just world. The second candle is for joy, comfort, and celebration. Comfort for all trans, non-conforming, and non-binary people, and celebration of the fullness and the beauty of their lives. May those among us who are allies work to build a loving and safe community for those among us who find identity and purpose within the trans community. May we celebrate and uplift joy, even in the midst of mourning and remembrance. And the third candle is for hope. Hope for those who are here and unapologetic and proud, and hope for those who are yet to come. Hope for those who have recently transitioned into their full selves, those who are coming into an understanding of their identities, those who are helping others in their exploration, and those who are not yet born, even those who are emerging still. Our liberation is wound together, and none of us are free until we all are. May those whose gender identities are often centered as the norm learn from, take guidance from, and follow the lead of those who exist in the margins, those whose identities are questioned and scrutinized, those who aren't believed, whose families often come under attack, those who aren't guaranteed safety and care. May the spirit of life hover over and protect our transgender, non-conforming, and non-binary siblings, leaders, elders, children, revolutionaries, and pioneers. We are so blessed to be part of the beautifully woven tapestry of life, full and rich. May it be so. And finally, as we all know, this has been a trying and a chaotic and terrifying week for so many here in Charlotte. The actions of ICE and Border Patrol have, in many ways, made our community less safe. But all around, We have seen acts of courage and tenacity. People of this city rising up and protecting in the ways that they can. For our immigrant neighbors and friends, we continue to commit to protecting and rebuilding together. There's a mix of fact and rumor flying around, and it's hard to separate fact from fiction. Here are some of the things that we've all probably heard or read. Some Border Patrol has left the immediate area. However, although this may or may not be true, there are also reports that Border Patrol actions will continue here in Charlotte throughout December. There are also reports that churches and places of worship will also be targets during this time. We won't know what's true until it happens, but know this: we need to be ready. Ready to be of support, ready to provide care, and ready to protect each other. I remain firm that they are not welcome in this building. However, laws have changed over the past several years. Whereas faith communities used to be protected under sanctuary or sacred spaces, this has been heavily disregarded. Our task now is to determine our level of risk. Your Board of Trustees is at work reviewing updated legal policies regarding houses of worship and immigration enforcement, what our rights are, and ways to protect each other. What each of us needs to do is evaluate our own level of risk. We can't all do everything, but there are many things we can do. Our community partners at Carolina Migrant Network, they are hard at work providing support to immigrant families and education for the community. If you haven't attended a training, please do so. Do your part not to spread false reports of ICE activity without verifying. Please don't verify if you haven't been trained to do so. Whether Border Patrol is here or not, our work is still here, and we're in it for the long run. So we light our final candle of world concern for the protection of our community, for the courage to keep going, and the beauty in resistance. Please join me in a moment to silence for all that we hold in our hearts. Please join me in a time of prayer, contemplation, and stillness. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, we gather here under the sacred blanket of protection in a long line of freedom fighters, of movement shakers and makers, of change agents. We rest in the arms of those who came before us, looking towards them for guidance and looking towards each other. In these times of great change, and these times of toil and torment, and these times when nothing seems, in these times, we call upon each other. We look to each other. May we continue showing up. May we continue reaching for something deeper. May we continue reaching for community. May our actions be guided by something deeper than us, something larger than us, but something made by each of us. May we continue to act with integrity, connection. May we continue to lead, to follow, to join. Prayers for all in this community, for healing, for the path forward. May it always be so in each of our hearts in the days, weeks, and months to come. Ashe, and blessed be. As always, our benediction is gratitude. Thank you, choir. Thank you, all ages choir. Wow. Of course, so much gratitude to our ushers, our greeters, our tech folk. Rebecca, my worship assistant today. Of course, gratitude to each and every one of you for choosing to gather when you could have been anywhere else. And gratitude to our city of Charlotte. Let's continue to give them hell. Please rise and join me for whatever it is that comes next. Our closing.
Our service has now ended. Please join me in reading the words on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire